Today on Catherine Learns Stuff, I'm going to walk you through making a holiday wreath countdown calendar. So let's jump in. What I've done for this holiday wreath countdown calendar is I've created a few files that you can use with your Cricut to help you along the way. If you go to my website, catherinelearnstuff.com/holiday wreath countdown calendar, you'll be brought to my website page where I go through the full details on how to assemble this. If you scroll down, you can sign up for my newsletter to access my free holiday countdown numbers SVG, which takes you to a link that you can get a file for all of my countdown numbers that I've used for this project. Additionally, if you scroll down a little bit farther, you can sign up to get a copy of my wreath SVG, which helps you along the way with making this design. So we're going to download these files onto our computer and then we'll upload them into Cricut Design Space. Once we're in Cricut Design Space, we're going to select the upload button to bring the file into our program. I've already uploaded the file, so I have it here on my Cricut desktop. I'm going to select the file and I'm going to add it to my canvas. When the file comes into Cricut Design Space, you're going to notice that the size might be very off. I'm going to quickly just reduce this to 10.5 inches just so that we can see what the size is. Now, what I've done in this file is I've created 3 different designs. We have one solid ring, a ring in 2 pieces, and a ring in 4 pieces. The reason that I've created this file in different sizes and shapes is so that if you want to make a smaller wreath, you can use just the simple ring. If you want to make a bigger one, you can use the 2-piece ring, or if you want to make a very large wreath, you can use the 4-piece ring. The cuts for these rings have been designed like this so that if you really wanted a large calendar, you could make this 4-piece ring on 12 by 12 cardboard and have it cut with your Cricut with no issues. So that's sort of the reasoning behind it. So once we've got this brought down to a more manageable size, we're quickly going to select ungroup, and I'm going to ungroup this file. Now, for my project, I'm going to be using the 2-piece ring, so I'm going to delete the extra pieces that I don't need, and that will be that problem solved. Now, I'm going to verify the size here. So right now, my height has been reduced slightly because I had the other ones that were bigger. I'm going to change my height to 10.5 inches because this is going to be a good size for my treats. And I want to make sure that this lock is locked so that the proportions of my wreath don't change. Now, before you commit to any size, I recommend that you actually cut out one half of this ring and test it with some of your countdown calendar treats to make sure that it will fit the 24 or 25 pieces that you need. Now, there's a few steps that we want to make in Design Space before we cut this out. I'm quickly going to copy this piece here so that I've got 3 pieces. This 3rd piece I'm actually going to cut by hand later so that it can be used to join this top part and the bottom part of my ring so that it stays together. Additionally, I'm going to select this ring here and I'm going to select my offset button. And I just want an offset that's just a little bit around. So this 0.25 inches is a good size. And I'm going to apply this. Now I'm going to select the color of green so that I know what I'm doing with this. And that's going to be the paper that I use to cover up my cardboard because I don't want the back and the inside to show any cardboard. So I've got this here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to make 4 copies of this so that I can cover both the front and the back of my wreath. So now that I'm happy with this layout, all I need to do is select Make It, cut it out on my Cricut, and I'll see you at my workstation. For the back of my wreath countdown calendar, I'm just using some old cereal boxes to give it some firmness. So I've already pre-cut it in half, but I'm going to cut the tabs off the tops and the sides so that I've got one piece here. And for the size that I'm using of my wreath outline, I'm going to need to do the 2-piece one. So I'm going to have half of a circle on this side and then half of a circle on the other side. Now when I'm putting this onto my mat, I can use either a standard grip or a strong grip. Regardless of what grip that I'm using, I like to tape my edges down so that it doesn't come up by accident when I am cutting it. And I just use standard painter's tape, which won't ruin the paper at all. And finally, when I put this into my Cricut, I want to make sure that I've got my dial set to custom so that I can adjust the paper type that I'm using. And I want to be able to remember to cut this twice so that I make sure it goes through the cardboard all the way. And the setting that I use on my iPad is the flat cardboard for this one. So my half circle has been cut out once. I haven't taken it out of the machine yet. So what I'm going to do is I'm quickly just going to press the go button again. Since I haven't taken the paper out, it will be in the exact same spot as it was before. So I've cut out a circle, a full circle of 2 pieces on my Cricut, and I've actually cut out another half piece because what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this half piece to glue these 2 pieces together so that it stays flush as an actual circle and it's got some depth to it. So just simply using my glue gun, I'm going to apply some glue here and glue this together. And that's the shape of my wreath. It's ready to go. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to wrap this with green paper. Now that my outline for my wreath is dry from being glued, I cut out 4 more pieces of green paper that I'm going to glue onto this to give it a green look. I've actually increased the size of this. I use the offset feature in Cricut Design Space so that I've got my green is a little bit larger than my actual wreath. So I'm just going to quickly glue this down, and I want to make sure that I'm gluing it down all the way as this is going to actually hold on to all of my treats. So I need to make sure I get a decent amount of glue on top of this so it all sticks and nothing rips off. And I'm going to put some on the back side as well. I don't need to, but as I want to make sure that none of the cardboard is showing up, I'm just going to give it a good glue as well. And now you can't see any of the cardboard. So we're just going to let this dry for a little bit and carry on with some of our other activities that we need to get ready for this. For my countdown calendars, I have to take pictures and document each number that gets assigned with what candy, since every kid in my house gets the exact same contents in each calendar, but they each get a different calendar. So I always take a picture of what I have, and then I also put numbers on it so that I know what is going into which number, so that I can make sure that I have the correct items in the numbers. All these candies are left over from Halloween, so what I always do is right after Halloween, I pick out the candies so that we have enough for the month of December for our countdown calendar, and that way I don't have to buy any surplus of other items. I previously designed all these numbers. I've just quickly cut them out on my Cricut. You can get a copy of these numbers if you go to my website. I've left a link in the description below, so you can quickly just use these numbers if you'd like. So now what I'm going to do is I'm quickly going to put all of these numbers onto my candy so that I can put them into their wrapping next. Since my wreath is going to be green, I'm going to be wrapping all of the candy in tissue paper. So I'm quickly going to cut out a bunch of squares, but I'm going to make sure that I've got 2 or 3 layers of tissue paper for each candy, just because if I have just one layer, you'll actually be able to see what's inside, and we don't want my snooping children to see what's in there. So I'm going to do 2 or 3 layers of tissue paper for each one, and I'm simply going to cut out pretty much squares and rectangles so that I can wrap it into a little ball. So I'm quickly going to cut out my paper now. I do need to make sure before I start cutting anything that I have a good idea of what size I need so that I'm not just wasting paper. I need about half of that. So for each square I'm going to need kind of 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. About a 10 by 10 square of tissue paper. I got all of my tissue paper at the dollar store, so I have an abundance of it for cheap. I'm also going to pre-cut some ribbon, as each ball will be wrapped up with ribbon. So I'm just going to cut a bunch of pieces of ribbon so that I've got something ready to tie each piece up with. So I just need it enough to go around and tie it into a knot. I don't need to worry about it being a pretty bow because most of this is just going to get torn off the wreath once it's done. Now that I have all my ribbon cut, I'm going to start wrapping all of the treats. I simply want to take 2 to 3 pieces of tissue paper per treat and wrap them up. I'm just going to wrap them up into a little ball like this and then tie them up. I want to attach the number onto the treat right away so that I know which one is which. And I'm simply going to apply some hot glue onto the number and put it on top. Now that I have all of my treats wrapped, I need to do a bit of a trim on the surplus tissue paper. You can see some of the treats have a very large surplus of tissue paper around the top. So I'm simply going to cut the extra off and make them all look round and similar in shape on top. Before I glue on my treats, what I'm going to do is I'm quickly going to glue on some ribbon so that I can hang this up on my wall later, and so that I don't need to worry about putting it onto the wreath after it's done. So just a quick piece of ribbon and we'll get glued on at the back here. Now that I've cut all of my treats out to smaller sizes so they don't have as much extra tissue paper on them, I'm going to glue them all onto the wreath around in any location that I want, and some will be sort of off on the edge, some will be closer to the middle, but they'll all be glued on somewhere within the circle of the wreath so that we've got a nice holiday treat. And they don't need to be in any particular order, just any way that they fit. Now that all of our pieces are attached, I'm quickly going to just trim off some of this extra string that's floating around. Now our wreath is done. So when we're going to be doing our countdown, all you'll need to do is pull off each number as the days come off and access your treat. So we're going to place this up on our wall and it'll be ready to go. And there you have it. Your holiday wreath countdown calendar is complete. I hope you've enjoyed this project as much as I have. I've included links in the details below to all the products that I've used, as well as to my website and to my newsletter sign-up sheets where you can access the free SVGs used in this project. Thanks so much for watching, and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.